Ladies and gents, folks of the YouTubes, welcome back. So, after the bombshell video, our last video, about, moving the shop and getting a commercial location and all that good stuff, I suppose I should fill you in on like a little shop update, what we got going on before the big move, what I want to finish, and I haven't really filled you guys in on the RM370. So the RM370, right there, if you guys remember, we put a new top end in this bike. This bike came to us unknown as far as the guy bought it and it never heard it run. It had like no compression. So we disassembled the engine. The piston was actually about 10 thousandths too small, so it was one size too small for the cylinder, so never ran in that configuration. But a big problem when we took it apart was one of the circlips that hold the connecting rod pin in. There was only one circlip on one side. We didn't know if it had fallen out or if it was never there, because with the piston being too small for the cylinder, the bike never ran the way it was. So we kind of thought that maybe somebody just threw the thing together, just for like a looks type deal. And I gave the owner of the bike the option, which it was a gamble, and I fully expressed, hey, this is a gamble. So I told him we could just throw a new top end in it, new piston, rings, give it a bore, and see what happens, and see if that circlip's in the bottom or if it was never there. Or take, split the cases and do a full rebuild. He didn't really want to do that. He didn't want to invest that much money at the time. He took the gamble, went the cheap route, and you can guess what happened. But if you remember, it started up in the video. So it took a little time for that circlip to make its way out of the bottom end up into the top. So that was a bummer because it started up on the lift and it was running good. And I called him up and was like, hey dude, this thing runs good. I think you won. And sure enough, it didn't. When we actually went to ride the bike, it locked up and that's all she wrote. So here is the RM370 engine. This is the piston. So you can see where that circlip just chewed her right up on the side there. But the crank is good. And the owner of the 370 actually had another engine, a crate engine. So he brought over the crate engine, and on his original engine, the cases right here were broken, or the bosses on the cases. So there's a cover that goes over here for the sprocket. Well, with those being broken, it's kind of bad news bears. The problem with the crate engine, though, is it looks like it was parked at the bottom of a pond. And that's not good. So let me show you the crank and piston in this one. So that is the crank out of the crate engine. Totally garbagey. And even the cylinder here, it's got a ton of rust on it. The reeds are garbage. But like I said, we're taking two engines and making one. This cover was off of the crate engine too. I actually have the covers at a friend's house getting glass beaded, but you can see just major issues with the magnesium on this one, so I didn't want to use it. The other one was damaged as well, but it was less damaged. So let me back up a little bit. I didn't finish explaining. So after the engine seized, because that circlip came up and found its way into the piston, the owner thought about it, and I gave him a couple options. I was even willing to buy the bike. I felt so bad. But he didn't want to do that. This is a bike. Apparently he's wanted one since he was a kid. So we're just going to go ahead and do a complete engine build bottom to top on it. new bearings, new seals. Like I said, we're going to take 2 engines and try to make one as far as use all the good parts. The crate engine that he had, unfortunately, was so bad that we're probably just going to use the cases out of it, maybe the transmission. But that was about it out of that one. But we're making our way, and in the next couple of videos, I'll start getting back on the 370 because I'm going to have to paint the cases and everything before we put it all together, and that's going to be a fun little project. Something also I want to get done before we move to the shop. On to the next one, Uncle Randy's 185. So this bad boy is the one that sucked the screws in through the carburetor and the engine just punched them into the head. And it's a Honda, so I took it apart and cleaned it and put it back together, and it started because it's a freaking Honda from the 80s, and they're tanks. But yeah, so I'm just waiting on a new carburetor for this one because I took the carburetor off of that one. I took the carburetor off of that bike right there, and it is the worst carburetor I've ever had, and it's ruined. So yeah, that's what's going on with Uncle Randy's 185. This bad boy, the 200X, I haven't done anything with this bike because the engine's seized, and I'm going to wait until I can get this thing going and all that, and then we'll decide what's going to happen with this. I don't know, I'd like to rebuild the engine if I could and make it back into a runner, just because it's so original. It'd be a fun, like, project. I hate tearing them apart and parting them out, but sometimes, you know, that's where the money's at. Oh my goodness. The guard dogs. Yep. Just guarding away. Huh? Are you guard dogging, Uno? You guard dogging? Yeah. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering about the ATC 250R CR500, I got it tucked away. It's tucked away. I still have it, but it's hibernating. And we'll get to that one when we get to that one because it needs a ton of work. And I'm kind of looking for some parts before I dive into it. I'll explain more later. So this is new. This is another quad with the batch of the last quads that we did, the Blaster and the 400EX. Came from the same dude, and this is a Arctic Cat 400. This is when Arctic Cat, Suzuki, and Kawasaki were all like sharing. So they had like the DRZ 400 and the KFX 400, I think, if I remember correctly. I used to sell those things new back in the day. But this needs, first it needs washed like all the other ones. Apparently it needs a stator, and he gave me a stator. So we're going to do that. An oil change, check the coolant, see if it runs, that kind of dealio. It's pretty hacked up. I don't know, it's a random bolt sitting there. Dead battery. So, kind of like the other ones, really neglected. Looks like there's a mouse nest in there. But it does have some good parts on it, you know, Elka shocks. I don't know if they came with braided lines or not. But yeah. We'll do whatever we got to do to get this thing going, and hopefully we can do it quick. And Little Red is just Little Red, and my Norton Commando. So this bike I've had forever, it feels like, but it's actually only been 4 years, or 3, I can't remember. But anyways, this is my 71 Norton Commando that I'm restoring. This bike is really expensive to restore. So I've been doing it in bits and pieces. I didn't want to sell this motorcycle, so I was kind of like putting it off because I needed to, you know, spend money on bikes that were making money, and this is not one that is a money maker. But when we get to the new shop, this thing is going to the new shop, and we're going to finish it over there. I have some big plans still for it, and I still really love the bike. It's just been kind of one of those things that are hanging around in my life. So the next thing I'm going to show you is not a motorcycle, but I think that you guys are going to dig it. Well, I guess it's kind of a motorcycle because I'm using the motorcycle as a stand, but my good friend John in Ohio, he does a lot of woodworking stuff, and surprised me. I was totally surprised, big time. Yesterday I got this in the mail. This is an awesome sign that he made for the shop, and we're going to hang it up somewhere when we get there. I think I have a good spot for it already, but I wanted to show you guys and let you know that he just started a YouTube channel. So I'll definitely put a link to John's channel in the description. His first video is making this sign, and I've been bugging him to start a YouTube channel for like 2 years, I feel like. So I'm really thankful that he did, and do me a favor and go subscribe to his channel and give him a like or a comment. If you like woodworking, he does really amazing work. And that's why I told him, you know, you got to share that stuff with the world. So if you dig it, go over there and let him know. Yeah, I'm really blessed to have such awesome friends in my life, and since we've announced the shop opening, it's just been an outpouring of positive support, and I'm really thankful for that. I'm really excited to you know, create a little community where all the motorcyclists in our area can hang out and talk vintage bikes and work on stuff and buy and sell stuff, and it's going to be a really killer time. So with that being said, as always, thanks for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe while you're here, and we'll see you on the next one. I think the next video, we're going to dive into that Arctic Cat and try to knock that thing out, because I have another project possibly coming in that is a possible Christmas present, and they want to know if I can get it done in time for Christmas. I'm not sure, so we're going to have to work through the weekend, which is, you know, something I always do anyways, but get all this stuff done and see if I can get this Christmas present done. And I guess I won't post the video, because what if the dude's kid watches my channel? I didn't think about that. So I guess we'll post that after the new year. But yeah, I don't know. Take it easy, guys. See you on the next one.